So, hi everyone. Welcome to our second Inclusivity Lab event. My name is Ronnie Rest. I teach art history in the art department here at Bakersfield College. I'm excited to introduce Seattle-based artist Stat. We're going to work from an interview style format tonight so that there will be a little bit more of a conversation between myself and Stat. This event is a webinar, so your mic is muted, your camera's off if you're in the audience. There is a chat feature and a Q&A button next to it. You can submit your questions kind of throughout the talk, and then time allowing, we'll get to as many of the questions as we can. I want to thank Benny from SGA, who's been behind the scenes on so many of these Zoom events on campus this semester. And then we have Joseph Tapei from the art department and the inmate ed program also helping us on the back end. And lastly, I want to thank the Finlinson family. The Finlinson Grant has supported a couple events this semester across campus, not even just in the art department. But their support of the arts at Bakersfield College has been really generous and amazing. So with that, welcome Stat. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's just kind of get started from the beginning.
Okay.
How did you get started with art, and what's some of the story?
Yeah, so my first I guess interaction with art was I was trying to like draw like cartoons that I saw on TV, like just waking up seeing Saturday morning cartoons and wanting to I guess recreate like Bugs Bunny in some sort of form. So like I just took my crayons and I just started drawing and things like that. I wasn't really all that good. Then in school they started this art program in Alabama, and I signed up for it. So we had like different projects that we would work on, and we would learn different things. Sometimes we had like a wood burning, so you were basically engraving with just a hot tool and trying to just burn things on wood. I mean, it was so many different mediums that you could really explore. I gravitated towards paint, which I was okay with. Ended up winning a art contest, and it was kind of fun for me. But then as I was growing up, I ended up getting into sports, and it kind of took me away as that was my sole elective. So I didn't really dive into art as much. Just doing sports. I was playing football, baseball, basketball, and a little bit of soccer in middle school. So it kind of took me away for a bit. So yeah, but I guess drawing cartoons was like my first interaction with art.
Sure. And so from that point, you go to college?
Yeah. So I go to college at the University of Alabama, and I go to play football. So football was my dream, was my passion. Just at that point in time, it was just like we had, if you follow football, we had Julio Jones, who plays for the Atlanta Falcons. You have Mark Ingram, who's playing for the Ravens and things like that. So you had a whole bunch of talent coming out of that class at the time. So the talent gap is like world class and me, right? So it was like I had to really figure out, was football really for me? And just looking at it, if you weren't going to drop all your classes and dedicate your entire life to making it to the NFL, it just didn't make sense. So I just found myself trying to figure out what I really wanted to do. At that time, when I was coming up in college, it was around 2000. Well, I got in college like 2007. So 2007, 2011, this period I was there, and that was the economic downturn. So finding a job and making sure that you can pay for your debt like after school was super, super huge. So great marketing on the program I ended up choosing. They were saying 100% job placement was their tagline. And it was simple. It was like business and computers. It was management information systems was the major. And with that, I was like, I like business, I like computers. I'm okay with them. So I signed up for it. So I go through the classes. Classes seem it was like more busy work. It's like IT and just in IT. IT is really, really busy work sometimes. But we got into our Capstone Project, which is our 2 final semesters within college before we graduate. And they gave us iPad projects. One was for the Home Depot, one was for Procter & Gamble. And this is like my first reintroduction to art. So what we realized is like, we can have this great idea, we have this great concept, we can have a great idea of how things should be, But if we don't have the graphics in place to make them a reality and really bring our value to life, we're really building at a percentage of what our idea was. So that's when I really realized the importance of having good graphics or having good illustrations to bring a product and make it more viable to a customer. So from there, I was like, okay, this is probably something I need to pick back up. But I was trying to graduate, so I wasn't really in a rush to do it. But ended up graduating, working at HP in Houston, Texas. I was getting in just the regular rut, just going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home. But my creative side started burning again. I started getting into gaming. I was playing Assassin's Creed basically every day when I got off work. And then I started getting into like game nights and game night games. And a game that I like obsessively played was Heads Up. And with Heads Up, I took that back home to my family in Alabama, and we only played like one category. We only played the hip hop category. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're exhausting this category. We need more content. So I had the idea. I was like, okay, why don't I just make a Black version of Heads Up, and if no one likes it, my family's gonna like it, and we're just gonna play it. So that's what I did. I went back to my iPad programming skills that I learned in college, and then I was like, okay, but we got to make it beautiful. So I found this one artist. His name is Aaron Campbell. He's amazing. I gotta share this resource with you. He's really amazing to work with and just amazing artist. But he had this Jimmy Neutron look and feel to like some of his artwork. And we would just collaborate on ideas that I would come up with. And I would say, look, I want a barber chair for guy talk. I want a salon chair for girl talk. And we would just iterate and try to figure out how to make the best image for that. But even before this, I guess to take it back and kind of mix in some product design, the way I saw For the Culture, which is the app that is the Black version of Heads Up, the way I saw it looking was basically it was going to be super minimalistic. It was going to have words and text, and that was pretty much it. But I gave it to my friends, and my friends were like, "Is this really done? Is this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's finished." And they were like, "Nah, I think you need something else." So that kind of validated my need for the graphics, right? So back to the story with Aaron. So we're working together, figuring out all these graphics, and I'm giving it back to my friends that saw the previous version, and they were like, "Yes, this actually makes sense. This actually feels like something." And I took it, and we ended up building it and launched it. So the first year, we just had to do a lot of promoting, and then from there, it ended up reaching top 4 trivia game on the App Store, and it is for the past 3 years, it's been the top 50 grossing trivia apps on the App Store. So super, super, super proud of that project. But that project allowed me to get back into creating artwork. So within the social media age, you have to create content to promote your products and keep it on top of mind for things like that. So the programming wasn't all that expensive for me. It was the artwork that was costing more than the actual app, right? But it was the life. It brought life to the app. So it made sense. But just being on a shoestring budget as I was at the time, I mean, I just couldn't afford it. So I had to reinvest in myself and figure out some skills, reskill myself to be able to produce the artwork, to actually come out and fill the content for my platform. So that's how I really got back into art.
And I don't want to get ahead too much because you might touch on this, but what
Yeah.
mediums were you using to start to create some of the art to tie in with the app?
Yeah, so it was Adobe Illustrator, so it's digital illustrations, stuff like that, and then just like really just sketch. We were just sketching like a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff we ended up trashing because the way we looked at the aesthetic and it just wasn't matching. So I mean, I was like, you kind of grow with certain things as an artist. So you start creating content that can speak to certain categories, right? And that's what I was creating at first, but I think I might be getting ahead with another part.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me jump to the next question. So maybe you can introduce some images too. And I put a link to the app so people can check out the app in the chat too, if you're interested. But you're working as a cybersecurity engineer by this point for Microsoft during the day.
Yeah.
And if we look at your Instagram profile, almost everything there is from 2020, right? So obviously you've been making work from before then, but can you talk about that a little bit and kind of how that unfolded?
Yeah, so I mean, just working in tech, you come across a lot of people with different ideologies and different ideas, and it's kind of like how I met my art mentor. And he's a huge art historian. He loves just talking about art day and night. And he asked me who was creating the images that he saw on my For the Culture app page. And I said, well, I'm creating them. And he was like, well, why aren't you releasing them under like an artist moniker and things like that? Why are you just being anonymous? I was like, I don't know if I see myself as an artist or just whatever. I'm just trying to create content for my app. He said, no, just do it. Like, what are you scared of? So I created the page in January of this year, and I just released it anonymously. I grabbed like a stock image off of the internet as my avatar, which I later found out someone owned. So I had to change it. Uh, so um, so I just took a real stock image of a lightning bolt. And then I came up with a moniker Stat, which is an ode to my grandfather. He was an activist in the civil rights era. Uh, he was really active with he served in the military, served in Vietnam. And then he came back and he was an AIDS advocate within his community in Marion, South Carolina. So I always thought his Stat name was super, super cool. And so I just chose that as my moniker. And I wanted to be like a virtual Banksy at first. I didn't even want my identity to come out. I just want to create like just cool images, post them up, probably post some flyers around late at night, and then just have them appear. That's where I was going at. And once I could get a following, but it kind of just didn't. It just never really got. Just life just doesn't really go how you plan it. Ended up entering a contest, and yeah, I could start showing a little bit of my journey with this.
I linked the Instagram page too. I won't get ahead of myself, but I'll link the site where you did the call for work too.
Yeah. So well, I can just walk through my Instagram real quick.
Okay.
So these are images that were created for the culture to promote. So Martin Luther King, Tupac, Bron. Shout out to if you're a Laker fan, Beyonce, Martin Luther King again, and then I just started creating more just abstract stuff. Like I like the shoe. I started creating that. SNES. Played that coming up and more things. RIP Kobe. But and then I started creating like for the culture. I started creating like household products that the African American community used when we were growing up. So and things that we related to. It's an artist that I kind of liked. So let's see. But I entered this contest for Amplifier art, and I submitted this picture that I used my mom's face to create. So my mom's a nurse, and this art piece was inspired by seeing her, just wake up every day and just fight the pandemic, selfishly, and just put herself like in harm's way, and just trying to save people from the pandemic. So I wanted to make an ode to her, and this was it. And it's crazy. Today I got the notification that it was published by the Library of Congress. So it's here. So it's in their archives.
Congrats! It's so huge.
Wow. Yeah. It was. Yeah. This. She freaked out when she saw this. It was crazy. So, super appreciative of Amplifier for giving me this opportunity and helping me share the message. So that was amazing. So there's another piece I submitted for Amplifier. Shilla Couture, inspired by one of my friends who was helping fight the pandemic as well. And then this is one that I created for nurses as well. I lost an aunt to COVID, and I wanted to thank the nurses that took care of her for that time. But with Amplifier, which was an open call, so basically I just submitted artwork that I was passionate about, and they projected this in New York City in the NYU hospital building, which was pretty cool. Seeing art displayed at such a large scale on a building in New York, it was pretty humbling, and I enjoyed that. Then the same image got displayed in London, London, England, which was a pretty cool experience as well. But just coming back, and well, if I can take you back through my art just really, and I was talking to Ronnie about this a little bit earlier. I was getting critiqued by my art mentor who set me on this path. He was like, what direction are you going in? Your art is basically, you don't really have like anything you're known for. It's just basically pop art. It's like, the greatest artists created, towards the movement and things like that. So you need a message behind some of the things that you're saying. So I started testing it out. I was like, okay, can I really create a message on some of my art? And I did this for Equal Pay Day for women, right? So if you look a little bit further down, the image is totally different, right? It's basically, just a regular image. So it's up to the interpretation. But with the message, people started liking it better because it stood for something. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, maybe I can bring attention to certain causes by putting a title with it, have a centralized figure, and putting color behind it. And I looked at Shepard Fairey for that because he was really strong with his message. And Shepard Fairey, if you don't know, he did the Obama Hope campaign. So it was like the red, white, and blue Obama picture that was really popular when he was running for president back in 2008. So I took some of that, I took more color, and then I took like causes that I cared about, and I kind of mixed them together and came up with my style, what you see now. So when things started getting really crazy, it was when my Justice series, which is the victims of violence that kind of set off the BLM protest this summer during the pandemic, when this series went viral. So I was participating in protests, and I really didn't feel like I had anything that spoke to me. And I look back at my skills, and I was like, you know what, you can create images that speak to it, and actually create your own protest messaging. And this is what it was. So when I was looking at previous images when a person had passed due to violence, it was like RIP, and that was it. But I felt we should actually keep the conversation going within their name and within their honor to to not only honor them but demand justice. Like, this thing has to end. So I released George Floyd first, but that wasn't the person I completed first. Like I completed Ahmaud first, and it was just too painful to release. And I talk about this in my in the video I did with the Seattle Sounders. And but George Floyd happened. I'm like, nah, we got to put everything out. Their families deserve it. So I did Ahmaud, and then I did Breonna, and then things started going viral. So with the Breonna Taylor post and George Floyd and even Ahmaud, they were being posted by MTV, Elle Magazine, and people were just coming to my page. And so with the new following that I ended up gaining, I felt more of a responsibility to keep educating people on things that were actually going on and figuring out ways they can help. So after everything sparked up, I started with Manny. So Manny Ellis, he was choked to death by the police in Tacoma, which is probably about 30 minutes away from Seattle. And I reached out to his sister, and I asked, is there anything that I can do? And I want to create an image for them. And we just worked on this piece together to really push a message for Manny. And they picked the coloring out and all that. And it was a good partnership. But I wanted to create action behind a post, and so instead of just seeing an image. So that's when we started doing the call to action. Okay, call this person. Here's a call script. Here's what you need to say to raise awareness and to get people to know that, get the officials in place to know that this is something that people took seriously. Yeah.
And just to clarify too, you've been in Seattle for about 3 years at this point, right?
Yeah, almost 3 years. 3 years in January. So yeah, the Seattle community is amazing, super progressive, and it's so I feel comfortable existing here, and that was fun. So even during that time, I went out to CHOP, which is Capitol Hill Occupy protest. It was previously Chaz, Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, We changed it to chop to reflect a little bit of what was actually going on. It was an Occupy protest, and we painted Black Lives Matter down the street in Pine, and it was a cool project. It was probably one of the best projects I was a part of, especially during this time. It was super liberating. It was fun. It took us like 8 hours, uh, but it was pretty fun. So we primed the street on day one, and day two we came back and we painted individual letters. I took the I and For the Culture is my brand, so um, I painted For the Culture down it. Um, and this is like my first painting project, which was kind of wild. Um, and it gave me a new respect. Like I had, like doing something digitally is totally different than like doing something where you have to mix your own colors and stuff like that. You have to make sure you have the colors. So I wasn't the best, so I pulled out like some of my friends and we just collaborated and we created from the image, which was fun. It was a fan favorite, so no, I was super excited about that project and the message that we got to repaint the narrative for um, a space that Trump called overrun by anarchists. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you talked about bringing that full circle too, because you talked in the beginning about winning a prize for painting, right?
Right.
And then you got so focused on digital art for so long, then you got to revisit painting again, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It was yeah, that was a weird moment. I was like, oh my gosh, there's levels to painting. I was like, the one I painted, like it was like a boat, and I just used like different colors. It like I look at it now, I kind of cringe, but I was
It
probably
came out good.
yeah, I was probably like 10, but yeah. So then I just kept going through, right? Heard about Vanessa, and I come from a military family, and just some of the things that were going down in Fort Hood, I was like, it's kind of weird. And I talked to my dad about it. He said like some of the stuff that he saw just being in Air Force, just being in the Air Force, it was just weird. So just honoring her and her memory was something that was kind of that we just focused on and kind of hit home, just being from a military family. So yeah, but that was cool. And then this where Ronnie found me from the MLS's back. So basically, I took them through the conversation that we just had. So just doing the protest artwork and then coming back, painting the Black Lives Matter. But with this, it was protest, protest, protest. But we want to take this protest energy and focus towards bringing people out to vote, which is where we're at now, right? We protest, we made our voices heard. Now we want people to vote and actually back up what we're saying and push the people out of office that really aren't listening to us. So that's the journey that we set out with the Sounders. So we did the BLM armband, which Nico wore in the MLS's back tournament right here, and which was pretty cool. I liked, and the VP of marketing at the Sounders, she had this whole plan where she just wanted to take all the energy and push it over to voting, which perfectly aligned with what my statement was, and that was vote every damn time, every damn time. So in every election, whether it's statewide, local, and or just the presidential election, you got to vote. You got to make your voice heard. So that was
And
cool.
I think one thing that grabbed me on the armband too, I'm a soccer fan, so I was looking at all of these things at that time.
Yeah.
But there was if I can find it, I'll put a link in the chat. But there was an MLS page where it showed all of the armbands that got designed by different artists across the country.
Another one you want.
But yours stood out because of your color, and it just like popped. It was awesome. And I feel like that was one of the things that definitely has probably contributed to so much success with your work too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, like with color, I think, especially, and this is advice I give to anyone, where I was releasing my artwork, there was a lot of attention on pages. So I was releasing my artwork primarily on Instagram, and which was being picked up, but scrolling across someone's feed, you know, you don't get a lot of time, you know, to make an impression. But color actually incites the mind, and it. Oh shit. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're
Oh,
good.
oh wow. You know, it's colorful. What's going on? So it grabs your attention, and then you can focus in on a centralized figure, then focus in on the message. So that's why I think the artwork is a little bit more effective. And coming up with what to say. I think just coming from a protest standpoint, I was saying, we demand justice. Brianna is the culture. We demand justice or else was the first phrase I came up with. But then I played it towards my friends. I was like justice or else or justice in their name. So justice in their name, right? Because I mean, it's you know, you're trying to do peaceful protests and things like that. So it's listening to your audience and kind of making sure you're putting out the best message and you're actually able to connect with the people that you're trying to reach. So yeah, so getting feedback is super huge and just trying to figure out what colors to use and trying to figure out your color palette is super huge. But yeah, go as colorful as possible, especially on Instagram to really connect and just grab that attention. And I agree with you, Ronnie. I think that's what allowed my art to resonate and reach a little bit more people.
Yeah. Not to take anything away from the message, because the
Oh
message is
no,
really,
no,
but yeah, but it's huge. And maybe you can even touch on that too. You talked about Shepard Fairey a little bit.
yeah.
And I know I've read in one of your interviews that you talked about how you were influenced by color from other artists too. Who are some of your influences that maybe drove your work too?
Yeah, Petra Erickson, man, she's a huge, huge influence on me. And just seeing how she just used color, which I've never seen before, to really illustrate like her images. Let me see if I can find her page and I can show it to you. Boom. Yeah, Petra is amazing. 1 second.
Yeah, I can definitely see while you're looking. I can talk a little bit about how I can see her work's very abstract, which I'm sure we'll
Yeah,
see in just a sec. So it's cool to see that blend of color and abstraction that definitely plays a role in your work too.
yeah, she's amazing. Like just the use of colors and things like that, and things that she creates for people and people that look up to her. I mean, it's super cool. So yeah, so she was a huge influence on my work and how attention grabbing her artwork is. So it's basically like taking a mix of her colors with a centralized figure, and then taking Shepard with his messaging and him really using his political voice in his art, and then probably just using a color palette that's a mix between Petra and Cause, who I really look up to. He did collaborations with Jordan and stuff like that. Jordan
Yeah.
brand, Nike, and all that. And he's a huge artist. Pharrell, Kanye, all that.
Yeah.
Um, and then just taking those and combining them and pushing them towards. But yeah, so yeah, these are great artists to follow. I look up to them all.
I'll put it in the chat. And you'd have to look up his website, but KAWS.
Yeah, Cause amazing.
Yeah. So we have a couple minutes to talk on a couple of the questions. I wasn't sure if we'd get through all of them, but do you want to talk about your process a little bit too? You talked about using Illustrator. Is there any more depth to go into?
Yeah, totally. I think the biggest thing that I could probably give is like the conversation that I have with my mentor, and it's just really going back into how to exist in this era, how to put out volumes of work, and you know, if you're trying to become the number one artist in the world, you're gonna have to look at what the number one artists in the world do, and understand their process and understand how they create. So so with that, I really had to understand what art was, and I didn't. I thought I knew what art was, and I didn't. So I talked to my mentor, and I was like, you know, this kind of get overwhelming. I don't know if I can just exist and just keep building at this rate. And he was like, well, who are some of your top artists? And I shouted out Kehinde, I shouted out Damien Hirst as well. Kehinde Wiley, who did the Obama painting, and Damien Hirst, who had these crazy spot paintings that I need to show. I'll pull those up too. And he said, so Damien Hirst probably comes out with 100 projects a year. Kehinde probably scales up, has 12 pieces that probably take over 80 hours to come up with and just do all the details. Or like, and he does interviews. He does. So do you think he's doing everything himself? I'm like, 100%. Yeah, totally. He said, no, you're crazy. You're crazy. There's no way. And he said, well, do some research and come back to me. So I looked it up and I was shocked. I was like, Damien Hirst had a team of like 200 people coming up with some of his spot paintings. Kehinde would sometimes scale up to 10 people to get ready for a show. And I was like, what? I was like, but if you think about it, it makes sense because just the volume that they were putting out work, it just didn't, if I was thinking about it, it just didn't add up. And he said, no, like in order to scale up to that, you're going to have to hire a team. You have to understand what art is. Art is the concept. Like if you come up with a concept and you drive the direction towards it, that's your art. You're creating art. You don't have to do every brush stroke. I think Kehinde says this, every brush stroke isn't mine, but every idea and every concept I 100% came up with. And I was like, oh my gosh. So in today's world where your volume is how you stay relevant and how you stay on top of mind and things like that, and how you grow as an artist, volume and quality as well. Because some people put out a lot of volume and it's not good quality, but volume and quality is the right mix to actually grow. You're gonna have to scale. You're gonna have to hire a team, and and as an artist, you're gonna want to do. It's naturally you're gonna want to do every single thing, but in order to reach to grow, which a lot of artists want to do, you're gonna have to feel more comfortable delegating a lot of tasks and seeing the oversight and trusting your vision is gonna get completed. So that's one thing. Just realizing art is the concept. And what really nailed this home, and I shared this story with Ronnie a little bit earlier. I was talking to, I was showing some of my art at this one protest art gallery, and this lady that was disabled came up, and she was in a chair, and she was like, "Well, I wish I could do this," and things like that. And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "Well, I'm just holding a brush or just holding tools and things like that. It's just very difficult for me to do." And I said, "Well, just art is a concept. It's in your mind. You can take someone that can hold a brush and you can direct them on everything that they do. So like you're an artist. You're an artist." And I think her face lit up. It was crazy. It's like you can take an artist that can paint, but Ronnie can come up with something else that the artist that helps bring together, and I can come up with something else. So the art exists in the mind of the person that's doing all of the direction. It's not in just the person that's actually doing it. So that's, if I can leave anybody with some insight, that's probably the biggest piece of advice that kind of helped me get over the hump as an artist.
Yeah. And then you were fortunate to have the kind of tech know-how and social media prowess to market yourself as well too, right?
Yeah. So yeah, let's go through that. So in my post, you want to kind of promote your art, and when you promote your art, shares and getting more views on your art allows you to bring more following and bring more attention to the causes that you're actually trying to highlight. So take you to my most recent one with Jonathan Price. So Jonathan Price, he was killed by police as well. But in this, I wanted to highlight. I wanted to reach out to people that could actually justify the cause. And his attorney for the family was Lee Merritt. Same thing with Ronald Green. So when Lee saw this, he was like, "Oh my gosh, I got to repost it." And then you post pretty much everyone that might be interested in using this as content to help promote a cause that they're driving towards. So Mary reposted just for Ronald Green. His mother ended up following me, and we had a conversation last week about just how everything was going with raising awareness for it. Vanessa, she was posted by Time's Up, the Time's Up movement that was trying to get justice for women that were just that had inappropriate contact with men, but didn't feel comfortable speaking up. Like I said, the Breonna Taylor was reposted by Elle Magazine and VH1 and Color for Change. My protest series, which was defund the police, invest in community, and free the protesters. This was reposted by Colin Kaepernick. So just creating moments, but actually trying to figure out how to get seen and tagging people that might be interested. So you show up in their feed is the best way to get your artwork seen for people that want to promote your cause. So
and really quick, sorry to cut you off at all, but those last three that you showed are on Amplifier's site with free downloads too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the protest series is up there for free download, and also these two are as well.
Oh yeah.
And the reparations one is too. Yeah, I did a lot of work for Amplify. So that was they're a great resource. And be on the lookout for Open Call. And if there's another one, which there's more than likely gonna be one. No, matter of fact, they have an education one that I can send over to you that people can go and enter. So yeah, let me get that over to you, Ronnie, so we can cascade that message.
Yeah, I'll share with students for sure. Yeah. And I know I haven't looked at the list in a little bit, but I know a lot of the students that I have that I shared this with are digital students too. So that's Amplifier is definitely a good outlet for submissions for work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're a great resource.
So I guess, and I should have caught you before you turn your screen off. Will you show the Seattle Sounders vote campaign too?
Oh yeah.
You touched on that idea, but I mean, we're less than a week from the election now, and so I mean that's your connection to change at this moment, right? And how your art is promoting that idea as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I need to post this on my social media. So yeah, so partnerships, being a good partner is reposting at the right time, which I'm horrible at doing. But yeah, so this is a vote sticker that there's a van that the Seattle Sounders sponsored, but they're going around to election boxes and passing out these vote stickers to people that go out and vote. So when you vote by mail, like you don't really get that sticker, that trophy for voting. So that's what we created with them. And with this entire vote campaign, we created a T-shirt as well that proceeds are being given to the Brave Foundation that helps give soccer back to different underprivileged communities. And I'm trying to see my stories, but I'm in okay, never mind. Stories aren't popping up.
Sorry, I was trying to find the link to the shirt. I'll put that in the chat in a second when I find it.
Oh yeah. My tagged stuff.
And maybe you touched on this. I was just kind of looking through the last couple of questions I had. Any more advice that you wish you had from the beginning that you could share with students, maybe?
Yeah. Don't be afraid to put your art out. You know, you might think your art is like, oh my gosh, I don't like it. And I didn't want to put out my mother's piece, honestly. I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. Like I was gonna make so many tweaks to it. And my friend was like, no, I love it. Like just put it out. And sometimes as an artist, you can be your own worst critic, right? You can be your harshest critic and things like that. And people can love the things that you do. So just release it and try not to overthink your art. Definitely take time with your art, respect your art, but never overthink it. And that's the biggest thing. Like I have archives of stuff that I still haven't released. And, you know, I'm probably just, I don't know, maybe do a series like a Throwback Thursday and just like release some stuff. just to show the progression of just where I came from as an artist and where I've evolved to now. So
That's
that's
awesome.
advice.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
We have one question in there.
Yeah.
Those of you out there, if you have any questions, throw them in the Q&A for us.
I just want to add real quick that we, in the drawing class, so me and my drawing 1 and 2 students out there, we had a art assignment. It was called Art with a Message.
Yeah.
We actually pulled from Amplifier. So
Yeah.
your work was an example, and it's crazy how the world aligns. And here you are.
Yeah.
My drawing students out there, there you go. And you're dropping some dimes. I mean, like, this is some free knowledge here. So
Oh man, I
I
appreciate
hope you guys are writing everything down, because this is the cheat code,
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a question from Susanna, and she wants to know, and this is a good question. Social media is a great way to reach an audience, but also lends to criticism.
Yeah.
As an artist, how do you manage this?
You just got to go back to your purpose, and you got to go back to who you do it for. So just like with the Sounders, right? Sounders has a super diverse fan base, right? So some of my vote stuff was popping up, and some of the things that they said under in the comment section was kind of derogatory. But at the same time, it's like, I don't do it for those people, I do it for the community and the people that can really benefit from how vote can change their lives, and just honor it. Just think about what my grandfather went through, like, to give us the platform to vote. The criticism doesn't really, you just got to block it out. I mean, there's going to be a lot of good, there's going to be a lot of bad, just even with people critiquing, like, just the artistic process, right? You're going to have the old school critics that are like, that might not be educated to know that Michelangelo, he had help on his stuff. And like, when you're scaling, people are going to be like, oh, well, you're not doing 100% of everything, right? When you're ramping up for a show and you start getting so many opportunities that you can't pass up, that you're going to have to build a team to produce artwork. You're going to have some people that are purists, and they're going to start critiquing that. But you got to look at the blueprint for the artists that are really at the top, and how they scale and how they manage. They were able to overcome that stigma that people that want to control how art is done placed on art, and kind of stagnate the production of art to, I don't know, trying to keep people out. Like, I mean, if you really want to keep that ideology, which I don't get, the young lady that I spoke to that just probably couldn't hold a brush. She would never be an artist by their standards, and that's not, those aren't people that you want to listen to. So go by your own rules. You all are artists. Nothing about you makes you any less than an artist, and no one can tell you what art is. You define that on your own.
That's great.
Okay, Nicholas asked, did the COVID quarantines give you more time to work on your art?
Oh, 100%, 100%. So I was commuting probably 30 minutes to work every day, and then you had to get up, you had to get dressed. I mean, working from home, and even going to school from home, like, you can kind of just go to school in your pajamas. So just that extra time of the extra time makes a huge difference. So it gives you more time to be at home, and just like connect with yourself a little bit more. A lot of stuff was going on. I couldn't reach out to friends for like drinks, or just go out to bars, because the bars were shut down, like on lockdown up here. Not saying the bar is the only place you can go, even libraries, right? Long story short, definitely COVID slowed everything down, so I can focus on art.
Yeah, like my wife, like, I have more money to buy paint now because we don't go anywhere. So it's, hey, as an artist, it's terrible, but as an artist, and sometimes you're an introvert anyways, you're like, well, I'm just gonna paint or just stay home and make some work anyways. Okay, we have another question from Cassandra. Besides Instagram, where else would you suggest artists can promote their artwork, such as websites?
Yeah, on the streets, honestly. So the campaign that I did with the Free the Protesters, Defund the Police, Invest in Community, those were wheat pasted around the city. So there was like 1,500 posters put up around the city. So that was super huge. That drove a lot of people back to my Instagram as well. So putting out in live action and taking advantage of the places that are boarded up that just have board over them and just wheat pasting on those, or just wheat pasting in just different areas to raise awareness. So that's one thing you can do. Um, Another place for promotion is just like Googling open calls for art, and then just shooting your shot at a lot of them. A lot of them are gonna, you can submit the same piece for like different ones. So that's super huge. And I can't can't plug them enough, but Amplifier, they'll that's a really good platform for up and coming artists, and they don't discriminate. Like you can have 100 followers, you can have 45 followers, and they'll see the value in your artwork and they'll post it. So my friend Mare, her account got hacked. She was, I think she was way bigger than me. But now she's back down at 500 followers. Um, but yeah, I mean, they're still working with artists because they see the value in art, they see the value in the mission, and I think that's super amazing. So yeah, a great relationship with them.
And one thing I might add to the students out there, it's never too early to start building a network,
No,
right? Artists, friends, and people who are doing things in the community, especially in the Central Valley. Here in the Central Valley, there's a lot going on here that you can be a part of, and every movement needs an artist. That's what I always tell all my students. Every movement needs an artist. You can be the artist. Another one, Cassandra. Besides Instagram, nope, you already answered that one. Do you or someone you have personal experience contributing to your work in the Black Lives Matter movement? Do you or somebody you know have personal experience contributing to your work in the Black Lives Matter movement?
personal
Sounds
experience.
like is there a connection to the Black Lives Matter movement, either with you or somebody you know? It sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, well, just life experience and growing up. Just talking to. I hope I'm answering the question. But yeah, just going back to my conversation with my dad and him seeing, I guess, his version of the Black Lives Matter and just people protesting and rioting in LA for the '92 riots with Rodney King and just trying to demand justice for a guy that was uh, unjustly beaten, right? And the cops got off. So seeing that come back full circle, it's like, okay, cool. We can raise hell in the streets, but we really need to get justice for this person and not allow the cops to get off. So that was I guess, my contribution to the Black Lives Matter movement with the posters, and then doing the mural within Capitol Hill, and then just doing the, defund the police, free the protesters, invest in community piece is what I feel my contribution is. And then it's just, still trying to keep the conversation up when it trended out of media and media wasn't really covering the stories like they were. And still trying to demand justice for Ronald Green and Jonathan Price, and working with their families as well and just communicating with them. I saw Jonathan Price's family reached out to me and they were like, well, can we use this? I'm like, of course, like totally. So they printed shirts with the image on there, which was super humbling to me, that, the family valued the work that we were doing for them. So.
Okay, we got another one from Nicholas. What are your plans for the future as an artist?
Yeah, keeping the conversation going. I don't want my entire legacy to be, just creating things that are important, but kind of depressed. So I want to kind of do some more uplifting artwork as well, and get in a better space. So when you come to my page, it's like, oh man, it happened again, things like that. Definitely keep that as a part of my work, but grow and expand into other things that I'm passionate about. Like I'm passionate about sports, and I found an intersection with sports to where I could take my mission and align it with the sports team that I really care about, and really push towards social change together. Other than that, just working on a collaboration with a few clothing brands, just using my pattern to uh, create an umbrella, create like a mask, which we're gonna donate proceeds to the Seattle Children's Hospital here. So just doing causes like that. So designing more like apparel and things like that. Designing the shirt was pretty fun that we did for the Sounders, and just doing more stuff like that.
Cool. I got one from Callie. It's kind of a compound question here, but
Okay.
what is the thing that you have felt the most satisfaction about as a result of your art? And is there anything looking back that you might have done differently?
Great question. The most satisfying is definitely the feedback from the families, right? Connecting with Manny's family and them just, just being overjoyed, just seeing their loved one depicted that way. That was probably the most satisfying feeling. And then, just talking to Ronald Green and seeing Jonathan Price's family, that was amazing. Anything that I would have done differently, I think I would have started sooner. I just wouldn't have been in my head as much as I was in my head, like when I first started. Like I was second guessing and overthinking pretty much everything. And if I can tell any young artist, don't overthink. Think, but don't overthink. And I know it's super, super hard as an artist because every piece that you deliver, I mean, that's your baby, right? But just jump out, put your art out, release it, and get the feedback as soon as possible. And get the trusted feedback, make your tweaks, but don't allow anyone to tell you what art is. Like, put it out and put it out often.
Awesome. Let me look back, see if I have any others. I was hoping you were going to talk about the connections you had with some of the families. It's so powerful. And as an artist, I can only imagine how much pressure that is, but motivating at the same time too. That's really huge.
I appreciate that, Ronnie.
Well, I think we got through all of my questions.
Okay.
This has been amazing, man. And like Joseph said, this is such valuable information for students in how successful you've been this year with your work too, and just how powerful art can be to convey a message too. I think that's it's just amazing to see, and like you said, I hope that we get to see change happen, and so hopefully your art takes a turn in a positive direction as well. But I'm just so thankful to have you. So thankful for the message and the tips that you shared with the students as well. And I think we wrap.
No doubt, man. Nah, thanks for having me. If you guys need anything, I'm a DM away. So just feel free to reach out. And we're all family. We're all trying to make it. We're all trying to figure it out. And hopefully I can get to the point to where I can do a class and just pretty much just share everything with at a broader scale. But yeah, good luck with all your projects. Definitely reach out to Amplifier. Definitely tag your work, promote yourself. Oh yeah, another thing. A lot of artists are scared to jump in front of their work and are afraid to jump in front of the camera. So take every press opportunity you have to promote your work. People do want to know about the artist. People do want to know who's behind, who's creating this stuff. And a lot of artists are afraid to get in front of their work. So a way to quickly set yourself apart, jump in front of the camera, just get over it. Like Ronnie and I we've been talking about this for over a month. And I was in my head, oh my gosh, like what am I going to say? What I'm going to say, just freaking out. And, that's all artists go through that. So just try to confront your fears up front, and it'll do you well in the long run. So especially with dealing with press. So getting comfortable talking about your art and people doing features on you and things like that. Never run away from those. Just always try to embrace those as much as possible.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much.
Very inspiring. Thank you. A lot of the students out there really need this right now. So thank you very much.
No, I appreciate y'all. Good luck.
Awesome. And we're seeing some thank yous in the chat. Thanks everyone for being here. Have a good night. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank y'all. Take care.